Hello, everybody. Happy Saturday to you. I hope that you are having a marvelous Saturday. It is looks like it's pretty sunny here in Atlanta, so I am actually not going to stay on here too long because I actually want to enjoy some of this weather over the weekend before school gets started back up and lives get busy again. And so I want to make sure I have some time to enjoy it. So I wanted to go on here live again today after being gone for a little while to talk about a topic that comes up so often in both my group coaching as well as my one-on-one coaching. And that is, how do you go about building the life that you want, right? It sounds so nice and everyone's just like, yeah, I want to build the life I want. I got a vision. I want to live purposefully. I want to live the life of my dreams. But a lot of times what I think happens is that many of us fail to realize that you've got to first clean up before you can build up. And we sometimes are trying to build up before we do the cleanup. And what happens is you wind up having a muddy, messy looking foundation. And so, what I want to talk about today is, how do we go about cleaning up before we actually start building up? You want to get to this point, you want to make this progress, you want to experience growth, you want to experience purpose. But first, there's some things we gotta clean up for that to really happen. And so I'm gonna talk about those areas that we can clean up starting today that will position us to be able to build the life of purpose that we want to live. Now, listen, I am going to share a tool kind of halfway through this that I use to help me be able to sort of clean up and build up on a daily basis. So don't leave me. I'm going to set the groundwork, but probably about midway through, and I'll probably only go about 10 or 15 minutes. I want to share this tool with you that I use that has been life-changing and really facilitating me being able to do that cleanup and that build-up process every single day. So let's talk about the three areas we got to clean up. And good morning to everybody. I see we've got some viewers out there today. Good morning. Say hello to me out there. Let me know that you can hear me because, it happens. Sometimes you can't. So if you're out there, just say hello. I see you're out there. I just don't know who you are. Say hello to me and let me know that you're there. I love saying hello and good morning to my viewers every morning. So let's talk about those areas you got to clean up before you can build up. Listen, y'all, first things first, you got to clean up your mindset before you can start building. And what we believe impacts so directly the way that we behave. And so often we don't even realize some of the garbage that we're believing that is impacting and limiting and becoming a roadblock to us building the life that we actually want. Many of us are settling for lives that we never intended to settle for. That wasn't the plan. We've accepted a life as of overwhelm. We've accepted a life of busyness. We've accepted a life where we abuse our bodies for the benefit of others. Everything from not working out to not hydrating to putting others' needs ahead of our own to our own detriment. So we have learned to accept and believe that a certain way of life is what we have to settle for in order to, I guess, experience some sort of benefit at the end of the road some point in the future. And the reality of the situation is that we've started to believe some things that's not really true. We've started to accept that this way of life, this way of being overextended, this way of being busy, this way of being depleted and overwhelmed is acceptable, and then we settle for it. And so one of the things we got to do is start changing and cleaning up what we believe. So how do we do that? First of all, I want you to really chronicle those negative behaviors, right? Because you cannot address what you don't first assess. So the first thing that I'm always encouraging women to do is to look back over the last week. Look at some behaviors that you have participated in that you didn't really want to, you're not really the most proud of, but those areas are really important because they're symptoms and clues into what we are believing, right? And we got to address what we believe if we want to change how we behave. And so what I want you to do is to look at those negative behaviors. And I want you to ask yourself, why? What is the why behind the what? Because that why is going to give us information and details on why we are believing what we believe. And that understanding that why is going to tell us why we are behaving the way we are behaving. Again, we got to assess before we can address. Why are we accepting a life of overwhelm as the norm? Why are we accepting not setting boundaries as the norm? These are questions we need to be asking ourselves and becoming more mindful and not just sitting back and becoming a passenger of the way life is going and accepting that that's the way it's supposed to be. So first things first, we got to clean up the mindsets. Start asking the whys behind the whats. And again, I'm going to share a tool with you to show you how you can regularly start asking that why behind the what. Second, we got to clean up our priorities. Listen, y'all, what we say is most important to us, and what our calendars say is most important to us, for the most part, it's not adding up. I am hearing women nonstop telling me these nice, neat stories about what are their priorities and what's most important to them. They're telling me it's their faith and their family and all these really nice, cute things. But then when I look at their calendars and I look at their bank accounts, how they're spending money, how they're spending time, it doesn't align. And so the second thing we have to clean up before we can build up is we got to clean up our priorities. Listen, the way we know what's really important to us is by how much time we spend with it and how we treat it. So how much time are you spending in your priorities? And how you treating your priorities? Are you treating them like they're a priority? Are we making the main thing the main thing? Because a lot of times what we think is the main thing really is the side dish in how we're living our lives. And so we got to come back and evaluate that, because there's some priorities that probably need to be cleaned up if we are not experiencing the kind of growth and progress and goal achieving that we expected to achieve. So second thing we got to do is clean up our priorities. And again, I'm going to share a tool with you in just a few minutes on ways that we can go about looking at our priorities and cleaning those up. Yes, ma'am, Miss Toy, you got to address what you believe before you can change the way you behave. That is absolutely critical to how we go about building up. We got to first clean up those priorities. Now, the last thing we got to clean up before we can build up is we got to clean up our processes. Many of us have adopted processes, ways of living that are not serving us. They are actually harming and hurting us. And so we got to go back and look at those processes. What do we need to do in terms of how we are treating, how we are approaching our day? How is that impacting our ability to build and grow? Is the way we set up our day really setting us up to really make the progress we want to see? And a lot of times I'm seeing that it's not. So this is where we get to the juicy part. I am about to share with you the tool that I use every single day that helps me make sure that my mindset, my priorities, and my processes are cleaned up each and every day so that I can make sure that each and every day I am building up in the way I want to build. And I'm going to go back here and pull this off the shelf. This is a new addition to my bookshelf, y'all. Is new, and many of you are seeing this for the first time. But this right here is what I call my purposeful prioritizer. This is the way that I clean up every single day so that I am ensuring that I am building up every single day. Now, where did I get this? How did I get this? Y'all, that's me on the back. Why? Because I recognize, as a mom of 5 kids, 5 boys, and an entrepreneur and a corporate executive, that I needed a way to daily clean up, to daily build up. And this tool is a result of things that I'd started doing each and every day that I'm now going to share with you on my screen. So if you just give me a second, I am going to pull this up on the screen so that you guys can have the benefit of seeing this as well. All right, so here we go. This is what the inside of the tool that I use every day looks like. And yay, Miss Toy, I'm so excited to see that you have yours too. Yes, the prioritizer, the purposeful prioritizer is what I call it, is the way that I daily keep my priorities in front of me. It is the way that I daily manage my mindset. It is the way that I daily manage my processes. It is the way that I make sure that I clean up before I build up. So, how do I do that? First things first, I told you got to first clean up your mindset. And so, one of the things that I make sure that I do each and every week is I establish an affirmation for the week. I think about the negative behaviors, the things that have been sabotaging my week. And I say, no, that may have been last week, but this week, what am I going to do differently to ensure that I don't repeat the mistakes of the past? And writing my affirmation at the beginning of the week, making sure that I see it daily right here in front of me when I open up my prioritizer, is the way that I try to keep my mindset clean so that I am in a building mindset. But again, remember, you got to clean up before you build up. And affirmations, going back and assessing those negative behaviors and then using an affirmation that you're using every week is a way that you can clean up before you build up. So that's first things first. The other thing that I do, if you can see this here, is I write my vision for the week. My vision for the week was to stay focused. It was to stay focused on being calm. It was to stay focused on wellness. It was to stay focused on a launch that is now happening. And it was to stay focused on my priorities. And so I wanted to keep this vision for my week in front of me, my desire to stay focused. So each and every time I open up my prioritizer in front of me, the first two things I see are going to be my affirmations and my vision for the week. So that is how I clean up and make sure that I'm keeping that clean mindset, if you will, so that I am positioning myself to build the life of purpose that I'm looking for. Now, the second thing I told you got to clean up is you got to clean up your priorities. So y'all, this is something that I do every week. Every week I sit down and I clarify what are my priorities. So here I have my top 5 priorities, which are my faith, self-care, marriage/family, Spark Her Blaze, which is one of my businesses, as well as Divinico, which is my other business. And what do? I write down small steps that I can take throughout the week to ensure that I keep my priorities for real. So I'm not just telling you my faith is important to me. I'm actually writing down and making sure that I have very clear, clarified ways that I am prioritizing my faith. I'm not just telling you that self-care is important to me. No, I'm taking time to write down specifically how I am prioritizing self-care. The same for family, the same for my 2 businesses, okay? And so I keep my priorities in front of me every single week. Now, then what do? Then I time block. I actually go to my calendar and make sure that those priorities end up on my calendar for the week. So that's how you actually get to a place where you are really cleaning up your priorities, clarifying your priorities, so you are positioned to build. Now, the last thing that I do is I create a process. My process is I get up each and every morning and I spend no more than 15 minutes, again, going over my priorities, time blocking how I'm going to actually devote time to those priorities during the week, and ensuring that I create time for them. Time blocking is an extraordinary way that allows you to really manage and be a driver of how you use your time, so that you are actually in a driver's seat in how you're using your time, as opposed to just a passenger of everybody else's time and how they want you to spend it. And so this is one of the things that I do. Now, at the bottom of this prioritizer, and hopefully you can see this, there is a replenishment strategy, a lighten the load strategy, and a get ahead of it strategy. That's part of my process. And I also track each and every week all these areas where I want to make progress. I've got checklists. So I know where I'm struggling. There's no question. I'm clear about it again, right? So we are again cleaning it up. We're making it clear. Where are you making progress? And then I write it out. Where are the areas I made progress last week? Right here, I made progress on my book proposal. I spent quality time with my husband and my family. And I started adding muscle training to my workout routine. That was the progress that I'm celebrating at the beginning of the week. But then I also look at my get ahead of it strategy. And what does that mean? That means I look at the areas that I didn't do so well. And I say, this week, what am I going to do to get ahead of it? And I start writing it. So one of the things that I realized, I wasn't working out as much as I wanted to because it had gotten hot here in Atlanta. And so I realized to get ahead of the heat, one of the things I needed to start doing was working out earlier. So that is how I think about my get ahead of it strategy every week. What didn't work well, and how am I going to get ahead of that this week? My lighten the load strategy. One of the things that I always make that I sure that I do is I'm like, okay, I'm a wife, I'm a mom, I'm a woman. I'm carrying a heavy load. That goes without saying for most of us. But at the beginning of the week, I am thinking about how am I going to lighten up this load this week? What can I delegate? So I have down here, the way that I lighten the load this week was I'm meal planning. And I have 3 days that I'm doing easy meal plans in advance. That's the days where we do things like do it yourself pizza. We do things like veggie burgers and sweet potato fries that go in the oven without much prep, and then a salad. So I'm thinking in advance, okay, I already know Tuesday, Thursday are going to be crazy days. I need to lighten my load by in advance thinking about what can I do to lighten my load. I'm going to delegate some grocery shopping. I'm going to send one of my kids to the whole grocery shopping, and I'm going to talk to my husband and be like, hey, I need you to cook a couple days. Now, if I didn't have a husband, I would be like, all right, let me find a service that can help me maybe one day, or maybe that's the day we do fast food. But again, I'm planning in advance for the challenges that I am expecting for the week, as opposed to then waiting until something happens and then I'm like, golly gee willikers, the week is a mess. Absolutely, Kendra, I could not agree with you more. Meal planning is a total game changer. And if you're not doing it, and if for those of you guys don't know, Kendra is a fitness expert. And so she is keeping herself looking good and trying to make sure we are keeping good. So yes, game changing is meal planning, just in terms of reducing the amount of decisions you have to make during the week, and also setting yourself up for success health wise. You got to do it. And then the last thing I do is I have my replenishment strategy. Listen, y'all, we don't need to go in the week thinking that it's not going to be tough. Most of us are living very busy lives. So you need to be thinking about replenishment before the week even starts. You need to be thinking about putting it on the calendar. That's when I go to my time blocker and I'm actually putting on here, hey, my morning routine is on here. What time I'm actually going to run is on here. So I'm actually putting those things that I'm going to do actually on my time block. So that is the way that I clean up my process. I have a clear process on how I'm going to build. So I wanted to share that with you this morning because, ladies, listen, the truth is we all want to build, but the real truth of the matter is most of us don't want to clean. But the reality is that if you want to build, you got to first clean. And so let's talk about and think about the areas you need to clean up so that you can ultimately build up. And that's what I'm here to do. Listen, I can share some tools with you, email them to you. If you are interested in learning more ways about how you can clean up and build up, please put that in the chat. You could just write me ! And I'll be happy to share some resources with you on how you can go about doing that and making this a part of your daily life. So like I said, I am not going to keep you guys on here long, but I wanted to share with you just some of the ways that you can take back control of your day, take back control of your life, and really put yourself in a driver's seat position where you are able to, in advance, clean up your mindset, clean up your priorities, and clean up your processes in a way that allow you to live more purposefully each and every day. Now, I hope you got something out of today. If you did, let me know. One of the ways that I know that people are appreciating what I'm doing here is to like, comment, or share. Like, comment, or share. And if you're feeling really generous, like, comment, and share. That really makes my day. That's how people find out what I'm doing here and what we're doing here at Spark Her Blaze, which is empowering women to live more purposefully each and every day. I thank each one of you for joining me, and I hope to see you back here again soon for another video where I share ways that you can spark your flame so that you can blaze your uniquely divine trail and live that life that God purposed for you to live each and every day. Y'all have a fantastic Saturday.